Giant Goofball, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm me, Rob. Let's talk about some draft class.
Oh, yes. So,
Is there some class in this draft?
What was that?
Is there some class in this draft?
No, not really. That's the problem.
Yeah.
We're about to go through a stretch here of the end of the, what should have been the end of the Jerry Reese days, really, that unfortunately his time was way too long with us there. But as you go back in these draft classes, it's pretty easy to see why people talked about Eli Manning not getting help the second half of his career, why the Giants are in the state they're still in now, because they dealt with such inept drafting for so many years here. So we'll give you guys a little pre-warning, though. Anybody in the comments section there, do leave comments by all means, but this is a pre-recorded episode because as we are having this here live, I am on a plane with hopefully no snakes whatsoever. I'm hoping there's no snakes on the plane.
Oh, there's going to be so many snakes on that plane.
So
They're coming from Florida. They're coming from Florida. My God.
Luckily, if you watch the Snakes on a Plane movie, it kind of kills any fear of it, because if you know snakes, you know that the ones they're using are either extremely CGI or non-venomous. One of the two. Like, oh no, this Burmese python.
Which is probably going to hide somewhere in the luggage.
Oh no, it's a corn snake. Like, anyway, but yeah, I'm on my way to New Jersey there. Rob and I actually get to even see each other this weekend I know. So unfortunately, no time to do an actual live show together, but yeah. So let's get into the 2013 New York Giants draft class here, and this is a class that, yeah, disappointments is definitely probably the easiest way to sum up this entire draft class. Just the word disappointments. Yeah, it's definitely disappointing.
Yeah. Cricket.
Let's get into the first pick here we had in this draft, which is easily by far our best pick in this draft. And that's at pick number 19 of the first round, Justin Pugh, tackle straight off the couch in Syracuse. Spent his first 5 seasons with the Giants there, and then signed a 5-year, $44.8 million contract to play for the Cardinals. Came back last year to play midseason for the Giants overall, 6 years, 75 games, all starts. For his career, 11 seasons so far, 132 games with 131 starts. So, yeah, he's had a really good career. The problem with Pugh has always been the injuries. And it's not major injuries he typically has. It's typically like, hey, I'm out for a quarter of the season. Hey, I'm out for half the season. It's not like he's the guy who tears his ACL like OBJ every other year. It's not that kind of scenario. But
it's Miami.
He always just has this ankle injury, whatever. I mean, it's always that thing that keeps him out for several weeks at a time. And that's why the Giants kind of let him go after that contract. He was offered a ton of money by the Cardinals for the time, at least. I mean, nowadays, 5 years, $44 million is a drop in the bucket. That's like not really a good contract in free agency anymore for a top end guard, which he was a guard tackle at top end when he was signed by the Cardinals there. And that was a big contract for his time. And the Giants just didn't want to do that kind of deal with a guy that had nagging injuries throughout his career. So, we talked about 6 years, 75 games with the Giants overall. It doesn't take a genius to do the math and go, hold on, 6 times 16. That's like 96 games. Am I doing it right? I had to do the math in my head now. I'm like, it doesn't take a genius, but I have trouble with it.
Yeah.
But it's like, that means he was missing, a good amount of games. They're getting 96. I had to double check my math in my head. You could take a couple of the games out he missed this year because that was before he got signed at that point. So you want to say 93 games overall, maybe I have to look the exact week he signed it, but it was like 3-4 weeks into the season.
I was about to say, it's probably 4 or 5. I was going to say,
maybe 75 out of the 93 that he should have been at that point there. So he's missing 20% of the games he's supposed to be in at that point there. He had the same problem when he was with the Cardinals as well. So you look at that stretch at that point. He got 75 games in the 6 years with us. He did 5 years with the Cardinals. And let's see, another more math here. We get 5 years. He did 50. Oh, I got to do the math now. 132 games overall, 75 with us. So that's 57 in 5 years with the Cardinals. So same thing. He was doing about 11 games a year. So that's been the MO for him his whole career. But when he does play, he's solid. He gives it his all. He's a great locker room guy. He's versatile. He can play pretty much anywhere you want except center. It's the one position I don't think we've ever seen him play. So, he's definitely a fan favorite because he's that guy that just seems down to earth and a guy you want to chill at a sports bar and talk the stories of his playing days while having a beer with him, Definitely got that kind of personality.
Definitely. Hands down. Hugh, what are you doing? Let's go.
And of course, obviously, the Justin Pugh straight off the couch thing from when he played with them this past season, of course, is now going to be part of Giants lore now, I think, for years and years to come at that point, because it was just freaking hilarious. He got
Dude had himself stuck handful of Pringles and called them up, and he couldn't answer the phone right away. Part of the lore.
Bonds, like the Kelly Bundy of the NFL. Not Kelly, but Peggy Bundy, the wrong Bundy.
Yeah. Ow!
Yes, Peg. But he got married April of 2022, so he's only a couple years married there at that point there. He also appeared back in 2015 on an episode of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which am I the only one who didn't realize that show was still going on in 2015? Like, I really didn't think that was still going on. He won $10K though for the Shriners Hospitals for Children there. He's also pretty active on YouTube and is clearly looking for life after football at that point there because he's been doing his own channel there, pretty hefty there. A lot of time spent on it. And some Giant fans do still want to re-sign him for the 2024 season. And he may still get a shot somewhere to play. His career is not necessarily over. It's definitely at the very, very tail end. That's for damn sure. If he plays this year, I'd be shocked if he plays next year. But I also wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't play this year. Not because he doesn't want to. It's just, it's getting the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was the best player,
No, but we needed somebody who had a little bit of veteran leadership. We needed someone with some versatility, and we needed somebody who could play the next day, basically.
He also elevated the line there, and was
yes,
he did what we needed to do.
They were at least 2 inches off the ground after him. No, I got a lot of respect for Pugh and what he's always done because even when we talk about the injuries, he fought back from injuries. That was his MO as well. Again, he had nagging injuries, and it kind of stunk because you knew every single year he'd get hurt for a couple of games, but he always made it back. He always worked his tail off. He was that guy. I still think he could be a good offensive line coach later on when he's done playing and decides it's time to hang up his cleats there entirely at that point. So hopefully it's with the Giants. Let's keep him in house there.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's get into our second pick.
Ooh.
Which is I gotta say one kind of hard to judge here. So you get a guy that has a long NFL career, has been a solid NFL player overall, but he spent most of his time not with the team that drafts him. So how do you grade a pick like that? And that's our second round pick there, Jonathan Hankins at Ohio State, defensive tackle, pick number 49 overall. He won the starting job in just his second year on the team. And developed into an above-average starter. That's what he's basically been ever since then. He's above average. He's not elite. He's not a Pro Bowl. He's not a build-your-team-around kind of guy. But he's a solid starter that's played for many, many years in this league now. Overall, he played in his 4 years of his rookie deal, 52 games, 41 starts, 140 tackles, 4 passes deflected, 10 sacks, 19 tackles for loss, and 26 QB hits. So, like I said, he was a solid starter for us. That's one thing the Giants have always never had problems with is defensive tackles. we always seem to do good
Yes.
defensive tackles. Whether it's Hankins, whether it's Linville Joseph, whether it's Dexter Lawrence, always seem to have been good at getting those kind of guys. You can go far back to Keith Hamilton, another great Giant defensive tackle there. We've always done good at the homegrown defensive tackle guys. After he was done with his rookie deal the next season, he went on to go play with the Colts there in 2017 before he ended up finding his longest NFL home there with the Raiders. He went to play for the Raiders from 18 to 22 and then was ultimately cut after week 5 of the 22 season there. Signed on to play for the Cowboys for the rest of the season and then stayed with them again last season as well. So he's still in the NFL. He signed this season to go play with the Seattle Seahawks with our old friend Leonard Williams. So they're just stacking up with ex-Giant defensive tackles there in Seattle. Career numbers-wise, 152 games, 134 starts, 403 tackles, 12 passes deflected, 3 forced fumbles, 3 fumbles recovered, 17.5 sacks, 39 tackles for loss, and 50 QB hits. So, yeah, he's, like I said, he's got impressive career. Not a Hall of Famer, nothing crazy like that. But this is a guy, again, he's a solid pickup for the NFL. The question is, do you consider it a solid pickup for the Giants when he's played most of his career outside of the organization that drafted him?
You have to give this guy like a B plus. A B minus when he getting drafted, but like his career is like a B plus. Like the draft was a good pick, obviously.
Yeah,
worked out for us. Yeah, having him like as an above average player, but like you said, we didn't keep him. But at the same token, that's because like every other year, we sign a great, defensive tackle. Like,
yeah, whoever does the scouting for the defensive tackles just run the whole scouting department. I feel like,
unless that's your niche, but
the one position we seem to hit on.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, overall, he also got married back in 2023. So another guy who's played in the league for quite a while before they finally got married to a luxury realtor. I always look at the word realtor and want to pronounce like it's spelled because it's spelled realtor.
Realtor.
Like it should be real a tour like that. If you want me to pronounce it that way, you spell it that way. God damn it. Whoever decided.
Oh, we're going to go on a real A tour, right?
I'm just saying, like that's
that memory lane.
It is not spelled as it's pronounced. It should be spelled better. I blame the person who designed it. Probably the people at realtor.com. Just say I sell houses. It's easier that way.
House seller.
But yeah, I mean, I kind of I wonder if he ever becomes available and comes full circle and comes back to play for the Giants. So I think the Giants would take him back as a rotational piece at this point if he wanted to play next year for us. Hell, I would take him this year over a lot of the guys we have.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't be mad.
No, but that's what he is at this point in his career. He's a rotational piece. But I mean, when you're going into your 12th season in the league, you've had a legit NFL career. Again, the average career is like 3 years. So you've quadrupled that and you're still going. So, kudos to him at that point because defensive tackles can sometimes have a very, very long career. We've talked before about Calais Campbell a couple of times the last 2 seasons. We've been clamoring for him. Of course, the Falcons took him last year. The Dolphins took him this year. But, that's a guy, 38 years old and still going?
Yeah.
So, for all we know, Jonathan Hankins has 4 or 5 years left in him. At that point, you never know. It's like, but that's a guy, again, good player. I'm a little hesitant to call it a good pick just because of the fact he hasn't played long with the Giants. If he comes back to play and we get a little more average into there, maybe, I don't know.
Change your opinion.
Maybe it changes the opinion. I don't know. So I'll tell you what, though. There ain't no way I'm going to like the 3rd round pick we have, who is a famous tale of caution in the NFL at this point because of all the issues that came across with him. And that is Demontre Moore, 3rd round pick number 81 overall. And he was originally supposed to be a top 10 pick in this draft because that's what people thought of him coming out of his last year there at Texas A&M. And his stock just dropped after a really poor combine performance there. After that, he was anticipated to be a late first round to early second round. But he slid all the way down. Like I said, we got him at the 81st pick in the third round. Like, that's not even an early third round, guys. You think about it. 32 teams in the league. That means there's 64 picks. He was a mid-third round pick at that point. You know, he played for the Giants overall for almost 3 seasons. Not even full 3 seasons. Almost. In 2015 is where all the issues really kind of happened here. So he was a healthy scratch in week 7 after a horrible roughing the passer penalty was made the prior week. He was kind of known for a lot of dumb mental errors that he made on the field, that kind of stuff where he kind of lost his cool, did a stupid move that really hurt the team as a result. So he also had a lot of issues with teammates, including getting to a fight. And it's funny when I look in this stuff up, the notes for this, I totally forgot about this issue until it happened. You know, and then I looked it up again. It was at that point at like the end of his Giants career. And I'm like, oh my God, I completely forgot about this. This was a big thing when this happened. He got into a fight with teammate Cullen Jenkins for a practice because he didn't get free headphones like other players on the team did. Literally fought a dude over headphones.
Which is crazy because he makes enough. Well, he made enough where he could buy those headphones.
Exactly. And it was apparently one of many, many maturity issues that he had shown the team. So they cut him. At the time, Jerry Reese, who was the GM for many years with the Giants, said, "We've made the move today in the interest of both parties." That is a very telling short statement.
You're fired.
There was no thank you for his time, thank you for his efforts. Like, this was the best move for everybody involved. Get the fuck out of here. Like, that's basically where it was at. Like, yeah, that's not good when a GM makes that kind of statement. You know, he didn't say no comment. He made it out of his way to say point blank, like, yeah, this guy was an issue. We got to let him go. That's
pretty
bad.
much.
Now you would think that his career would be over at that point. What if I told you guys he was still playing as of a couple weeks ago? We'll get into that. We'll get into that. But that's how crazy and long this career is about to get. So let's give his stats with the Giants there, since we're talking about that being ending here. So 42 games overall, 0 starts, 43 tackles, 3 passes deflected, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovered, 8.5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 24 QB hits. So it wasn't like he'd never performed, because if you think about it there, 3-4 sacks this season as a backup edge rusher. That's not nothing. It's not great. Don't get me wrong. We're not writing home about that and saying, oh my God, this guy should be a starter. But as a young player in this league, he showed some potential. But the head case issues were too much.
Looking at you, Tony.
Yeah. He is the Kadarius Toney of edge rushers.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, he became quite the journeyman afterwards. Let's go down the list. And this may be the longest list of teams that a guy plays for in all of our redraft recaps we're going to do probably. 2015, like I said, we cut him. The Dolphins picked him up for the rest of the season. He then signed on with the Raiders, but was cut and ended up spending the 16th season with the Seattle Seahawks. 2017 was with the Dallas Cowboys, which he was suspended for the first 2 games for violating the league's substance abuse policy. 2018, he's with the Oakland Raiders. 2019, he played for ex-Rams head coach Mike Martz, who was the head coach now for the San Diego Fleet of the Alliance of American Football, the AAF. Guys may remember that was like a 1-season thing that just didn't make it. In 8 games there, he actually had a decent time. So 8 games, he had 22 tackles, 7 sacks, and 1 fumble recovery. Later on that year, he played for the San Francisco 49ers. 2020 ends up back with the Seattle Seahawks again.
Oh, those suckers.
2021 ends up on the Carolina Panthers practice squad. That's a little crazy there. 2022 goes to the CFL, plays for the Toronto Argonauts, but a season ended with an injury right after the very first game. 2023 spent a month with the Montreal Alouettes. Then he got picked up by the Calgary Stampeders for the rest of the season, and he was cut by the Stampeders earlier this month and is currently a free agent. So literally this month, June 2024, that we're in right now as we're recording this, that's when he got cut. So he's still playing football after getting into a fight over headphones over a decade ago. But that's a little crazy. Overall for his career, I'm going to give just NFL stats because it's too much. They're going CFL, AAF. I gave you 66 games, 0 starts, 97 tackles, 4 passes deflected, 4 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 11 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, and 36 QB hits. So you can see most of his stats still came with his time with the Giants. Like 2/3 of his stats were in that first 2 years. He was just a bit player that was on practice squads and bounced around to active occasionally kind of thing. But overall, he played for 8 NFL teams, 1 AAF team, and 3 CFL teams so far. So far, because he has not retired. He still could get picked up by another CFL team or maybe go play for the Rock in the XFL, UFL thing, whatever that thing is now called.
It's still a thing?
It is still a thing. Actually, they just had their championship, I think. But yeah, so they'll be back next year. So it's just crazy. I mean, he's now married, has 2 children, a son and a daughter. I can tell you on his social media, he does a lot of religious stuff on there. So I don't know if maybe he's, used that as a way to kind of mature and age appropriately. I hope so for his sake, because that's just crazy. Well, I remember that how do you get in a fight with a teammate over headphones? Like, how much could those headphones possibly cost you? If it's $100, $150, that's like a top end headphone.
Yes, I'm saying, like,
I'm assuming it's not a recording headphone. Like this one here is like that I got on me is like $160 headphones. But like most headphones that you get for just listening to music, even like back then was probably Beats. Probably still before Apple bought out Beats, it's probably that. And even those maybe $200 tops.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly what I was about to say. Like, you get good old Beats back in the day.
Beats
Dre. Yeah.
That's what they were. They were Beats by Dre. They just love the show.
They were.
He's a doctor, goddammit. He must be good.
The problem with the Beats by Ray is like when you go to the
Dre,
gym.
Not Ray.
Dre, yeah.
Oh, who said Ray? I'm like, who's Ray? Beats by Ray.
We had Beats by Dre back in the day. And you went to the gym and they look like this.
Hold on. Rob's about to drop a sick rhyme now. Look at this. Beats by Dre back in the day.
You went to the gym, you were powerlifting, you looked great, but you couldn't hear how good everyone was saying how good you looked because you were wearing the sick Beats by Dre.
So I never had this problem, so I just avoided the gym.
Oh, touche.
That's exactly why I avoided the gym, to avoid just such a scenario.
Oh, well, I always bought cheap headphones just so I could hear how great it looked.
I see what this is a whip-him thing for you.
I should have bought those things.
This is not a whip-him. It's a FOMO, the fear of missing out here. This guy was cool. I had a reason. But yeah, like I said, I listen. I don't. Listen, we talk about players. We talk about what we know. We hear of players. I don't pretend to know people I don't know. The fact that he's had such a large career, makes me think he probably did grow up at some point. He had his issues. Again, you have the fights with the Giants, the other issue with other teammates that a lot of them didn't even come out fully what it was, but it was well known that he had issues with multiple teammates. You had the issue with the substance abuse policy issue when he was back with 2017. He's had a lot of issues. So, I hope for his sake he did grow up, because listen, we all make dumb decisions. in life. We all were young and stupid. Let's be honest. Let's call it what it is, young and stupid. We sometimes forget these kids when they get drafted at that point. They're not all like 30 years old like Michael Penix Jr., okay? And our Bo Nix.
Some are 20.
Some are 20, 21, 22. I mean, listen, I did stupid things that age. I'd like to think I wouldn't get into a fight with somebody over headphones when I was making that kind of money. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
But
I was probably more like the Johnny Manziel back in the day.
Yeah, but it's like I feel like I want to level it a little bit because, like I said, like, you know, we all did something stupid back then. We all made poor decisions. We were kids back then. He was a kid then too, 22 years old or so, you know, like maybe 23. It's like 2 years in the league at this point. You know, I wasn't growing up at 23.
No.
I think sometimes we forget the amount of pressure these guys have on them. Now, the substance abuse thing, that's a whole different thing, obviously. That was back in 2017 at that point. So you figure, you know,
he's
he
way
was
older
for 4 years. So he's probably 25 around there at least, where you should have grown up a little past that kind of stuff. But listen, like I said, we all make mistakes. The fact that he's got to be around at least for all these different teams when he hasn't produced a lot, let's be honest either, hasn't produced a lot.
Yeah, and that's probably why he was taking substance.
No, but I'm saying it makes me think that he probably did grow up at some point. It probably is not a horrible guy, just made really poor decisions early in life.
Yeah, probably.
But he will always be known for the headphone issue. You might not remember him for it immediately, but the second you hear Kellen Jenkins, headphones, fight, you're like, oh, yeah, that's the guy. Like, you'll remember that immediately because that's a big thing. Like I said, when it happened, it really was. So, all right.
Yeah.
Speaking of big things, let's get into the pick that was supposed to be a guy expected big things for some reason of. I remember when they drafted this guy, he was going to be the guy to replace Eli. That was what they said. Like, oh, we're going to develop this guy for a couple of years. He could be the eventual replacement to Eli Manning. Well, yeah, Daniel Jones made this guy look pretty good, that's for sure. Ryan Nassib we're talking about, QB out of Syracuse, who like 100% came from a football family. His father, Gilbert, it sounds so proper, that name, Gilbert.
Gilly.
But yeah, Gilbert played tight end at the University of Delaware. His brother John played defensive end for the University of Delaware as well. And his brother Carl, you probably know Carl Nassib. He played 7 seasons in the NFL. But yeah, I mean, Nassib, there was a lot of people thinking this was a developmental guy that was a steal for the Giants, that they thought they could develop him into, at the very worst, a solid backup in this league, with the ceiling being potentially unseating Eli Manning eventually, because people are already thinking at this point of him long term, like, how many more years does Eli have? Again, 2013, he ended up playing obviously for a few more years at this point, but he was in his 30s. The conversations start popping up at that point there. He basically just lasted, though, through his rookie year and obviously didn't impress the coaches too much. Spent 2016 on the IR as well. For his career, he was 5 games. He played a little bit of relief for Eli because obviously we all know Eli was the Iron Man back in these days. Didn't ever give up his playing time there. 9 of 10 passing, which sounds pretty good overall, but just 128 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. And that was the end of his career, guys. Nobody pretty much wanted him after that. He spent some time with the Jaguars and Saints at 17, but never stepped on the field. Was kind of like the guy they signed during an injury. I forget who got injured for the Jaguars. Remember, right? They had like a bunch of injuries in the quarterback position that year. They were just desperate to get somebody in there to be a backup for him. He did get married in 2016. Not much news for him overall, though, on what he's done since playing there. You know, like I said, he's a guy that I know that a lot of coaches liked overall as a person. You know, you always heard good things about him as far as, you know, locker room wise and stuff like that. He wasn't, you know, fighting Cullen Jenkins over headphones like other people. So, you know, hopefully, you know, things are going well for him. It'd be nice to find a little more. So if anybody finds any more information, feel free to pop down the comments section here. Some people, there's a ton of information on it. Some people just kind of poof, fall off the face of the earth. So Nassib went poof, which is crazy because his brother just finished playing, obviously. You know, I kind of, when I looked up him, I expected to see, you know, information about him. especially given everything going on with his brother. Obviously, his brother was the first openly gay player in the NFL as well. So you kind of expected maybe to even see some quotes or something from Ryan at that point there. Nothing. So, like I said, hopefully things are going well for him and the whole Nassib family there, because I love it when you see these guys as like 4 or 5 people all playing football in a family. I mean, obviously just 2 of the 4 got into, the NFL level at that point, but that's still pretty damn impressive that 4 guys in your family play collegiate football and 2 of them make it to the NFL. That's impressive. So, like I said, hopefully good things going on for him. We got another guy here coming up here that was considered to be a potential steal. A guy who came from a very big school, went to a very tiny school, had a little medical issues along the way, and people thought might be a steal. Instead, I feel like he stole from us. And that's...
Put the cookie down.
Put the cookie with us. We got the cookie. Cooper Taylor, defensive back out of Richmond. He still is the son of former Georgia Tech and Baltimore Colts quarterback Jim Bob Taylor, which I'm sorry, if Jim Bob Taylor isn't the perfect name for a quarterback for Georgia Tech, I don't know what is.
Taylor. It
just seems like a Southern name at that point.
Yeah.
He's just cooking up, grilling things with, Hank Hill.
Mm-hmm. Best propane out there.
Who I know is from Texas before somebody tries to correct me. I get it. I'm just saying it seems quintessential Southern. He started his collegiate career over at Georgia Tech. It started very well with him, but was diagnosed with Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome and missed most of the 2009 and 2010 seasons before eventually transferring to Richmond. Now, I am not a doctor. I do play one on TV, but I'm not a doctor. And I did look up a little bit on Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome because I remembered the story of him having some kind of heart issue, but I remember too much of the particulars on it. Basically, what it is think about like the electrical signals in his heart basically were going all wonky. Not to use proper terminology and people.
Not pretty sure that's medical doctrine.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I have wonkiness here. but yeah, I mean that's basically what it is.
Your kicker has the wonkiness.
Yeah. The electrical signals kind of had an issue there at that point there, and people forget you're actually has electricity pulsing through your body at all times. So that's why you got to be careful with lighting.
It's electromagnetic fields. It's all around us.
It is. It's part of the Matrix. What? Who said that?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it goes over to Richmond at that point when he's finally able to go back onto the field at that point. He was on the roster through August of 2016, but really spent most of his time on the practice squad. Really didn't do much of anything, to be honest. Not to be mean about it, but for his career, 16 games he appeared in overall, 15 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. He works actually as an investor at Salem Investment Council, according to his Twitter/X page that I was able to find at that point there.
Oh, someone else uses LinkedIn?
No, Twitter.
Twitter?
This was Twitter. Yes. So, yeah, like I said, not too much information on them overall. Again, he didn't have obviously much of a long career, but I gotta guess he's in the Winston-Salem area of North Carolina because that's where Salem investment counselors are based out of. So, but I don't know for sure. Nowadays people work remote. People have, places have multiple offices. So I don't want to say that for sure. He didn't list on any social media where he was living. So he's worried about fans apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
No, but I guess the good news for me, honestly, my biggest concern was because again, I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to know everything medically and outcomes on things and stuff. And unfortunately, we're gonna have some more medical stuff to go over as we progress through all these these years here because some of these guys did have medical issues. But when you hear a heart issue, you're like, okay, just please hope the guy's alive and living well and seems to be doing okay, But like I said, everything seems to be, good for him health-wise, at least by all accounts that he's showing publicly. So, good for him. Just didn't make it as a player there, but, at least he's making it, health-wise at that point, which is much more important there. That's for damn sure. Let's get another guy who was a small school guy. A guy that you kind of thought came from a position of need, that's for sure. There's been a need even back then and still is a need today. Offensive line. And they took a shot in a small school guy. Can't blame any team for doing that, especially in the latter rounds at that point. Sometimes you take a shot with the guy with a small school and he gets missed by some of the scouts because he's at a small school. And that's Eric Herman, not to be confused with Herman Munster from Ohio. Ohio. And yeah, Herman never saw the field in an NFL regular season game. That's how bad this pick just did not pan out. He spent a lot of time in practice squads, though. He was suspended for 4 games in the 2014 season for violating the NFL's performance-enhancing drug policy. He ended up staying with the Giants until September of 2015. He landed on the Ravens practice squad in December of 2015. He then spent a week in August of 2016 with the Indianapolis Colts, and did find him on Twitter as well. No news really of what he's up to. I did see a message and a picture about him going back to Ohio to help coach up the offensive lineman for a day with the team at that point, which is always nice to see guys going back to their alma mater and giving back at that point there. But I'll tell you this, he does seem to really like Justin Pugh that we talked about earlier. He literally retweets everything Justin Pugh puts out there. Like literally
does.
Boom, 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 like he's that guy. So
he's really pew 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 pew.
I didn't think about that. Pew 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 pew.
Yeah. Pew 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 pew.
So, but that's nice though, because you figure all this years later that must mean the two of them have some kind of relationship, or Justin Pugh had some kind of impact on his life and who he is at that point.
Either or.
And Justin Pugh seems like that kind of guy. He does seem like that kind of guy that you meet him and you might not get to know him all that well because, again, these guys haven't played on the same team now in almost 10 years. But, Justin Pugh seems like that guy that you'd probably either we all have coworkers like, you know what? I think fondly back of my time with this person. He's a really good person. We kind of lost touch, but he's a good person. You know what I mean? Like that kind of scenario. So who knows if they actually still talk or not, but he still definitely thinks very fondly of him. All right, we got one more guy here to go over. And there's two very interesting stories to come out of this one here. And that's the story of Michael Cox coming out of Massachusetts. Played there only for 1 year, though. He's actually a transfer from Michigan prior to that. Spent just 2 seasons with the Giants. It's a theme here, right? You guys got half these guys in this draft didn't even make it through the rookie contracts. Like maybe we're wrong to say that it's hard to give the Jonathan Hankins pick too high a grade because he ended up signing elsewhere after the rookie deal. At least he made it to the rookie deal. But it's not Michael's fault that he didn't make it through it. Overall, 18 games, 1 start, 26 carries, 76 yards, 2.9 yards per carry average, 5 receptions for 21 yards. He was also a contributor on special teams and was a kick returner. His career was cut short, though, because of a failed ankle surgery in 2014. During the trial proceedings there, the doctor actually, as we have to say online, unalived himself. So, yeah, that's how involved and complicated this whole procedure was. Now, keep in mind, this is 2014, that he had the surgery. The lawsuit didn't be finalized till 2022 when he won a $28.5 million settlement because they were trying to not only give him money for pain, suffering, but it was also lost wages he may have earned as a NFL player at that point. Again, I'm not sure how much he would have gotten at 2.9 yards per carry. Not to be mean about it, but I don't think you could say his career was off to the best start. But again, he was a contributor on special teams. Some guys do just make a career out of that, obviously, at that point. So His brother, Nicholas Cox, also played football at the University of Maine and got a tryout with the Ravens after going undrafted in 2014, but he did not get signed. But still, another sibling scenario, another family thing. Speaking of family, there's a story that popped up when I was looking up him. I gotta share with you guys. I thought this was really crazy and interesting. It doesn't involve the Giants or football, but we're gonna get a little sidetracked here for a minute. His father. So his father was beaten by cops in 1995 in Boston. Now, what's even crazier about this? He himself was a cop in Boston. So the cop got beat up by cops in Boston. And this was basically called a mistaken identity kind of scenario. The police tried to sweep the issue under the rug, and he sued them, and eventually won and was awarded $900,000 for the issue. Now, he ended up leaving eventually, went to Michigan, was cop out there for a while, but he's back on the force now. He's actually been the police commissioner in Boston since 2022. The same town where he had these issues. That's kind of crazy. That's a weird, crazy story there at that point.
Yes, but it's also kind of like humbling because like he's trying to reform.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So like,
I'm saying like, what's if I okay? It's hard for me to put myself in the shoes because let's not get into the social issues in this country too much here. But let's see. Obviously, you can put two and two together. What's going on here in this scenario? Obviously, this is right around the time also of like Rodney King and that kind of stuff as well. But you got a guy who's literally a cop. Like he is a cop in this city. He's trying to do right by the city, trying to, clean up the issues and everything. I don't want to go too much into like he's trying to clean up the streets, but you know what I mean? Like he's trying to do right as a cop. He's in plain clothes, gets mistaken for somebody else, gets beaten by his coworkers. Obviously, they didn't know him personally, or they would have like, hey, let's get this guy to say, but you know what I mean? Like, these are his coworkers for all intents and purposes, and they're beating the crap out of him. And then the same department that he works for tries to cover it up and act like it didn't happen or it wasn't that big a deal. Like he had to take them to court to even get everything going at that point there. The whole scenario is crazy, but to have the perseverance after that, to stay on the force and want to clean it up, like you said, and want to get it going right, that takes a special kind of person. That really does. That takes a special kind of person there.
Especially because you move halfway across the country to come back.
Yeah.
Because of the commissioner.
Yeah. Like that's, like I said, that's pretty crazy. That's a story of perseverance there. Definitely. That's why, like I said, I think that's one of those stories you don't hear very often. So it was interesting that now you guys said you got a father of a Giants player going through all that kind of stuff there at that point. So, kudos to him for sticking it out and getting everything going right there. Let's talk about this draft class as a whole, though.
Should we pay the bills first?
We should pay the bills. That's a very good call there. That's a very good call. Let's pay them.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
I never do a little sign to each other there. Rob and I were definitely not throwing fake grenades at each other and all. Yeah. Let's review this draft class though, because wow, guys, this is
that's a stinker.
Yeah, like again, Pugh, good pick.
Pugh. Wait, Pugh's a great pick.
Pugh pick, but again. Here's another guy that we didn't re-sign after his rookie deal. Jonathan Hankins, above average player in this league, played in this league for a long time, but again, didn't re-sign him after his rookie deal was over at that point there. So that's what you got. You got the two best picks in this were guys you didn't even want to re-sign. We could have re-signed him. It's not like they didn't want to play for the Giants. Pugh obviously did. He came right back the second he got the chance to.
Yeah.
Like, it's
He
crazy.
took that hand out of the Pringles jar. He came right back to us.
Like, it's just crazy to me. Like, this is the two guys who are probably the best picks in this draft. Then you got a guy who was literally fighting people in the locker room and somehow has managed to parlay his talent into a long, long career, even without that. A guy who couldn't make it as a backup quarterback. A guy who couldn't see the field at all, basically. A guy who never stepped foot in the field because he didn't look that good in practice. A guy who botched an ankle surgery after also not looking that good in the little bit of time he had there. Like, wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, not even a single one of them panned out to be a decent backup for this team. Like, let alone to get a long-term starter. No one looks like a good backup even. It's crazy. You know, like, maybe DeAndre Moore could have panned out if he didn't have his issues, you know, maturity-wise there. Maybe Michael Cox had at least panned out as a kick returner if it wasn't for the botched ankle surgery. But it's like, damn. This was a bad draft. Like, if this draft was a dog, you would hit it with a newspaper and stick its nose in it. Like, that's how bad this is. By the way, don't hit your dog.
Don't do it again.
Don't hit your dog, people. Don't do it. Newspaper or not. All dogs are good boys and girls.
All dogs go to heaven.
Damn straight they do. But yeah, that's dude, I can't tell you how bad this draft class is without like getting enough curse words that YouTube would not like us. I already let one slip as it was this episode. Like, this is bad. Like, I really want to look for silver lining. Like, even though like I think I come off sometimes as the negative guy there, you know, like the Debbie Downer, so to speak there. Like, I do try to give like both sides and try to find some positive light.
It's hard in this one.
This is a rough draft class to find positive light. You get, you know, 7 guys overall. 2 of them make it to the NFL, but neither one gets signed past their rookie deal. Like, how do you look positively on that, man? Like, how do you?
Yeah. I mean, the only glimmer of light is, once again, we'll talk about Pugh because he came back to the Giants.
But the crazy thing is, this is the draft class that's very typical for the Giants around this time of you know, the Giants' history here. That's the scary part. Guys, we're going to go into some really bad draft classes here. I hate to kind of, again, be so negative about it right off the bat like this, but this is what we're about to deal with, guys. So buckle up, because we're still going to go year by year with these draft classes, guys.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
You guys in history, because those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. So Joe Shane, make sure you're watching these episodes too.
And then also come on,
yeah, seriously.
Book your appointment.
Come on,
down.
We can talk all about going into the Indiana Football Pro Hall of Fame there thing. Like, but yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, honestly, if we were to redo some of the, you know, look at the Giants, you know, draft classes that Joe Shane has done, some of them might not look so good in a couple of years either. How's that Josh Azuto and Marcus McKeithen panning out? I mean, like, there's a lot of moves that he's made that I'm like, but I'll tell you this, he has never had a draft this bad.
Yeah.
Unless we don't re-sign anybody. But well, you know, it's early, but wow. Even Dave Gettleman never had a draft this bad. Yeah.
It's crazy.
I said his name. Just don't say it 3 times. Someone dies then. All right, guys. We're going to call it a night here. Appreciate you guys listening as always. Again, I'm going to be up in Jersey for a couple of days here, so we're going to have a couple of pre-recorded episodes here for you guys, but we will always keep them going. As always, we don't care what's going on in our lives. We make sure we get you guys at least 3 episodes per week. Always. Like I said, I don't think we've ever not done at least 3 since we first started. You know, like we did in the preseason with the very first year, I think we did 2 a week then. But ever since the regular season of 22, we've done at least 3 episodes every single week, guys, if not 4, sometimes 5. I think we did 5 1 week even. So yeah, we'll like I said, we'll keep them going.
A lot of Giant news
there. So, yeah. So appreciate you guys listening as always. If you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share button. Let a friend know about the show there. Appreciate you guys listening. And as always, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, Twitch, and of course, Rob's favorite. Oh yes, my
Drew's LinkedIn page.
And of course, guys, we're available the next day on all the audio podcast platforms as well. Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Google, all the fun ones there. So if you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe on that. That way you have a video version, you have an audio version, you have all the versions. You can never have enough football action, that's for sure. So appreciate you guys listening as always. And of course, as always, Giant fans, go G-Man! Go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.